Is it on? Is it on?
Yeah, go.
All right. All right. Okay, class, today what we will be learning about is the five kingdoms of plant and animal life. First we have Animalia, Plantae, Protista, Fungi, and then Prokaryota. First of all, we have Animalia, which is living, breathing things such as you and I, but there's also primates, birds, and reptiles.
What about meatloaf?
Well, I suppose meatloaf is an animal, it's just...
No, I mean the singer.
Wait. Oh, meatloaf. Well, I mean, I guess he's a party animal.
'Cause I do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Ugh.
Classifying living organisms. What is classification? This is simply putting things into groups based on observable characteristics. We do this all the time. You even do this, such as when you group girls or guys into those you would date and those you would not. Why do we care? As we discovered more and more new types of living organisms, it became very hard to remember what was what. It was also very hard to figure out what an organism was if all we knew about it was a name. For example, if we found a new organism we called a purple people eater, we would have no idea what it was. Levels of classification. Domains, archaea, bacteria, and eukarya, kingdoms, phylum or division, class, order, family, genus, species. I remember this by King Philip came over for great sushi. Domains. All living organisms are first grouped into one of three domains, archaea, bacteria, or eukarya. The eukarya are more complex organisms. Archaea and bacteria are both simple single-celled organisms. Eukarya. The eukarya contain the eukaryotes. Shocking, I know. These are most of the organisms we think of, such as plants, insects, dogs, and even us. So what is a eukaryote? A eukaryote is the name of a type of cell and actually means new cell. These cells are more advanced than prokaryotes. They are larger in size, contain membrane-bound organelles, are generally more complex, and contain a nucleus. They are also able to form multicellular organisms, which the prokaryotes cannot do. On another note, eukaryote and prokaryote are spelled correctly whether you put a C or a K in them. I decided scientists did this for all those who cannot spell. So then what is a prokaryote? These are simple cells which are smaller than eukaryotes. They don't have a nucleus or membrane-bound organelles. They reproduce using binary fission, which means they simply split in two. This allows them to reproduce very quickly. They are unable to form multicellular organisms. Stop and review. List as many differences between prokaryotes and eukaryotes as you can. To be continued in Part 2.
Next we have Plantae, which includes trees, like you might find in Buchenwald, in my home in Germany. This also includes anything that can go through photosynthesis.
What about Americana tuberosum?
Wait, Americanus tuberosum, like the American couch. Oh, I see what you did there! The American couch potato. You think you are so clever!
Yeah.
Shut up!
Oh, okay.
Okay, so where were we?
Fungi.
Classifying living organisms. Bacteria. Bacteria and archaea used to be grouped together and were called prokarya, since it was made up of prokaryotic cells. After it was split into two groups, they each needed their own name. Just like the name suggests, bacteria was named for the bacteria it contains. These are simple single-celled organisms. Archaea. Archaea are made up of prokaryotic cells. However, they have a very different structures than the bacteria we normally think of. These are a fairly new discovery and are often referred to as the strange and bizarre, since we really don't understand them. We have found them living in hot springs, icebergs, extremely salty lakes, and even molten lava. So in other words, these guys are the rule breakers, since according to science, this really shouldn't be possible. Kingdoms. After domains, organisms are then placed into 5 kingdoms. These include Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, Protista, and Monera, Eubacteria and Archaea. Monera is made up of bacteria and archaea, and in recent years there has been discussion to change this into 6 kingdoms instead of 5. Eukaryotes and prokaryotes. Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, and Protista contain the eukaryotes. Monera, Eubacteria, and Archaea contain the prokaryotes. This means only organisms in the Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, and Protista kingdoms can be multicellular. Stop und review. List the 5 kingdoms. Kingdoms. We often don't pay too much attention to domains and jump right to placing organisms into kingdoms. By knowing which kingdom an organism is, we already know a lot about it. For example, if we told you the purple people eater belongs in the Plantae kingdom, you probably have a completely different idea of what this organism may be than you first did. In the beginning. As we were figuring out how to classify all of these organisms, we began with 2 kingdoms, Plantae and Animalia. In this case, we simply classified organisms as things which ran away from you when you chased them and things which didn't. Wouldn't it be great if it was still that simple? As we learned more, as we better understood organisms, we decided fungus is different than most plants, although it still doesn't run away when we chase it. This led to adding a 3rd kingdom. This process continued until we had our current kingdoms. Just remember, this is always changing. As we better understand organisms, we may adjust things. For example, a form of bacteria, blue-green algae, got its name because we originally thought it was a form of algae, not bacteria. Stop and review. Why do the kingdoms change over time? To be continued in part 3.
Ah yes, fungi. Fungi is a funginous plant that has a tendency to release spores.
Oh, you mean like the ones that got on my toes?
What? Ow. If your opinion matters, I will let you know.
My opinion,
if you have an opinion, I will give it to you. Yeah. Huh. We rolling? We rolling? Okay. Now that has been taken care of, I introduce the 4th kingdom, Protista, single-celled organisms, the likes of which I have just reduced my assistant to. Ooh. Lastly, we have the fifth and final kingdom, the prokaryotes. Prokaryotes are defined as cells that lack any discernible nucleus. Picture a human without a brain, and that's pretty much what you'll get.
Like you.
Oh, you're still alive, are you? Let's finish this!
I know, I'm done!